Hey, this is Zachlog the Great. So, I've seen Vox Day write a good bit about the idea of free trade and why free trade is destructive. Possibly, he may even possibly use the word evil. I'm not sure. And to be honest, I'm not an economist. In some ways, I don't feel like I've studied enough to really say yes or no to his arguments. I think I could. I think if I sat down and studied a good bit and got the background and really worked through, I think I could follow his arguments and work out yes or no. But I haven't. So it's not something I really have as my background. There is, however, one part that I do feel qualified to say something about. And so I thought I would talk about that some tonight. Vox Day, one of his arguments is that free trade necessarily means the free movement of people. And the free movement of people necessarily means the destruction, the erasure of distinct cultures and distinct nations. And one of the examples he gives of this is the United States itself as a large free trade zone. And this may seem kind of odd. It's a single country, right? It's one people. At the same time, like, the United States is a relatively large country. There are a few larger geographically, but not a lot. And there are also, very, distinct cultures, distinct ways of, people live their lives within it. And so if you, take a look at it in that sense, it kind of makes sense. Without going into too much detail, a good while ago, several years ago, I moved to the area where I'm living now. Although I don't think I would have characterized it that way at the time, more or less to pursue economic opportunities. Okay? Where I live now is also over 1,000 miles from my hometown, where my parents still live. My sister lives another 2.5 hour drive, 2.5, 3 hours drive from us, farther away from our hometown. My brother is closest to my parents. He lives about a 2.5 or 3 hour drive from them. And, once I was down here, I met this girl who was from around here, and we got married and have a couple of kids, and I'm more or less here. That's not a complaint. I'm not trying to put it that way, but I'm pretty well set here. So when you're single, this kind of thing doesn't really seem like a problem. It's not when you're a young single person. You wouldn't really think about this. You don't see anything wrong with this kind of situation. When you're young and married and you don't have kids, again, you don't really see, why there's anything wrong with this. But then when you have kids, at some point you realize, wait a minute, my kids almost never get to see my parents and don't really know them. And that doesn't seem right. But then also, by the time you have kids and by the time you notice this, you're probably also kind of at least a little bit established where you are, and picking up and moving back closer to, your parents might not be that easy. Or you could be in my situation where one of the families is here and one of the families is a long way away. And again, you don't really notice this when you're young and single, or when you don't have kids yet, but extended family, it's not just a matter of your feelings. It's not just a matter of, I would like them to have this. It's also a very practical thing. It's a support network. Okay, your your kids' grandparents and aunts and uncles, they can be of tremendous practical help. Babysitting, or helping out with basic home or car maintenance. It's quite likely your parents might know a little bit more about these things than you did, because you didn't have a house by this time and didn't have to figure out these things. And again, if you're in a situation like mine, you're cut off from a lot of that. And it's a lot more difficult to, manage, to, keep life going. And this isn't just about me. Like, this is, in the United States today, this is a fairly common, kind of story. You can see a lot of families with a roughly similar situation. And you can, argue about what the causes are. Is this what Vox Day said or not? And you can, talk about what the solutions should be. I feel a little ambivalent. By my natural inclinations, I'm, relatively libertarian. I think the government, when government tries to fix things, it quite often makes them much worse. But the more I think about this, the more obvious that it seems to me that any government which routinely produces this kind of outcome for its people is fundamentally broken. God be with you.